Namo Mahasudarshanai Vasudevai Dhanvantarai Amrutkala Sahastaya Chakranarayana Swaha. Welcome, dear soul. I'm Brajendra Nd from 108lsa.com. The circumstances are not perfect, but they are perfect. My English is not perfect, but it may be sufficient. There is noise, the angle of the camera is not optimal, etc., etc. But I think it's important that we move away from form and externals towards the essence. So there is so much nice talk and wonderful presentation and big money here and there. But if you really want to bring about change, then you have to search for the essence. And that's what you get here. So let's dive into it. In emergency situations of stress, of emotional turmoil, etc., etc., then you may not be able to apply some of the wonderful modalities of healing that may be out there. Even among my own, be it the matrix level, OM.Love.MATRIX alignment, the 5 steps, or even more so the 18 steps, who can remember them in an emergency situation? So you just need one line. And of course there can be several lines to remember, several short prayers, which will be combined with some energy psychology technique. But I want to present one today that is a combination of a few essential principles. The line itself requires a lot of explanation, but once you've understood that line, then it encompasses so much, because it's such a powerful sutra. It has such a deep effect. So the line is Tate, forgive, self-love, Om peace. So Tate stands as a reminder for a bigger verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which I have also an old video, which is not the best one, and I'll see if I have a further explanation on it. The verse is Tatenu kampam susamikshamanu unjana evatma kritam vipakam redvakva pobir vidatan namaste jiveta yamukti pade sadhaya bhak. And it's possible to work with that verse alone for tapping, for example, or also for the other method where you're crossing your legs in one way and the hands in the other way, and then you repeat that phrase. But the point is to understand the essence. To make it short, the essence of the verse is whatever comes to us is the learning reaction to what we have sown in the past. It comes back to us so that we can learn to forgive the other limited person who is trying their best, and forgive ourselves, and thus become free from the chain of limited love consciousness. And by doing so, and if we give our respect by body, mind and words to the Supreme, who has mercifully arranged all this for us, then by doing so we will become liberated, eligible for liberation. And to become liberated from the conditioning, from the identification with provisionary identities, is the prerequisite to awaken to our true identity of self-love and God love. So, Tate, is a sutra for this whole meaning. So that's the first two syllables of the emergency affirmation, tate. Then forgive is giving the essence of that whole subject which I just described. It means forgive everyone involved and even forgive God, though He's not to be forgiven, but we may hold a grudge towards God also, though He's just providing the learning lesson for us. So forgive is the second two syllables. The third two syllables is self-love, because even though we may know theoretically all this knowledge, it may be very difficult to actually let go of the grudge, to let go of the bad feelings, etc., even though we know that there is nothing to forgive. So for that, to enhance the effect of the first two syllables, we remember to self-love. So even though some parts of us still don't want to accept it, because we know it's best for ourselves, we may still let go. Okay? So holding on to a hot iron rod will cause us suffering, and not to forgive is just like that, holding on to a hot iron rod. So self-love helps us to let go and come into a state of mind that is beneficial for us, and that's again the only possibility to become beneficial for others, or a benefit for all. That's what we're aiming at. So that brings us to the last two syllables. That's Om, peace. Om is the complete existence, the highest consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it. So by doing these three things that I've just explained, tate, forgive, self-love, then it will be much more easy to come into peace with all that is, even though some parts of us may still not be willing to do so. And now, when we're in an emergency situation, sickness, stress, emotional, whatever it may be, we combine a breathing technique with either the freedom tapping, which I've explained in some of my videos, where you tap you do alternative tapping and you repeat the syllables like tate, forgive, self-love, Om, peace. But you do that in your mind, or you do it aloud, and you do that while breathing in and then breathing out. And then you go to the next point, breathing in, breathing out. Next point, breathing in, breathing out. And all the while repeating the affirmation, tate, self-love, tate, forgive, self-love, Om, peace. And then you hear, then on the collarbones, then on the chest, then you touch here, and then you walk with the feet. And then you do the same thing back up again from the bottom to the top. Or you cross your hands like this, and you do the feet in the other way, and you do also a breathing pattern, and you repeat that a few times, focusing on the breathing and the affirmations and the meaning of the affirmations. And by that you are balancing your brain halves, you're connecting your brain halves, you're bridging your brain halves, you're basically substituting or replacing the limiting samskar or impression of limited understanding, which was the cause for the suffering and for what unpleasant thing we may experience in this life, which has a cause in a previous life. And so yes, by applying these techniques, we can very quickly shift, even though at the moment when it happens we may not know what is the reason and what we actually need. But by combining, by connecting with this verse, Tatenu Kampam, which is a very powerful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which I may put the verse number in the link, in the description of the video, and maybe I will also put some other links there to some other videos which explain the other components which I didn't explain here for a lack of time, because I don't like long videos, and I guess you don't like them so much either. This should be a quick and essential information, no blah blah blah. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any comments or questions, you're most welcome, and may the Om Love be with you. Check the description of the video for further links. Jai Shri Radhe Shyam, Jai Amrita Dhanvantari.